All right.
Relax. Take a deep breath.
Welcome to the Love and Legacy Podcast.
Love and Legacy Pod. Ha. Mom and Dad are here.
We did it.
Here we are. Why do you have your nervous face on right now?
Because it's a little bit, I'm scared. I'm nervous.
Relax. You're going to be fine.
I am Rebecca Wilson.
I'm Will Wilson Jr. We've been married 10 years.
10 years together.
I don't like when couples do that.
Oh, but some people do, and so we're going to do that.
No.
Together for a total of like 12, 13 years.
And that's why I don't like when couples do it.
Why?
12, 13, 14. I'm like, we've been married 10 years. Y'all ain't watching for the dating years.
Okay, we've been married, but we've known each other for a hot minute.
Let's argue on the very first episode.
We've learned a lot in these 10 years.
We've learned a lot.
We've also learned, we've had to learn the hard way.
We've learned a lot of lessons the hard way. And I think when we started talking about, first of all, this was your idea.
This was my idea.
So I'm not sure why you're nervous or caught off guard. But when we first started talking about the potential of doing this, it wasn't just the love, but the legacy piece was a big part of it.
Yeah.
Because I think a big part of our legacy already has kind of proven to be that we want people to be able to learn lessons from us and through us, that they don't have to go through some of the stuff we went through to learn those lessons.
Yeah.
And that's why we're here.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
A lot of the topics and a lot of the discussions that we'll be having on this podcast really were birthed out of things that we stumbled into.
For
things
sure.
that were
heavy emphasis on the stumble.
stumbled into it. But also God placed some really strategic people in our lives. And they were also, we were exposed to some really, really great things, which enabled us to be able to be where we are today. And so this podcast will serve as that for people who might not have that or might not be able to identify who those people are to them in their lives.
For sure.
Because without a doubt, we wouldn't be where we are today without
Absolutely not
any of those experiences and the exposure. So
to some really wonderful people, man.
Absolutely.
That I'm getting emotional thinking about, but really we've been blessed along our turbulent journey, especially in the beginning, to really be around some wonderful people to help us. Yeah. And I think if anything comes out of this podcast, we just want to be helpful.
Yeah, that's all. Really, that's all it is.
No idea how long we'll do this, how many episodes you'll get out of us, but we just hope that it's helpful. No one needs another podcast, right?
For sure.
So it isn't that,
for sure.
But it is a burden really for us. We've had the privilege, I would say, of whether we call it pastoring or counseling, whatever language needs to happen there. Well over 50 couples. Yeah. In the 10 years of our marriage, and a good friend of ours, Daniel Brenneman. I want to shout out DB.
Shout out to the Brennemans.
Episode 1, DB gets the first shout out in the history of Love and Legacy Pod. That's a big deal. He handmade us a 6-foot table. Mm-hmm. And the reason we needed a big table is because we had already started to see in our lives that a lot of gathering was happening around our tables. Yeah. Literally today I'm about to date myself with what I'm about to say. Oh, Lord. Facebook. Okay. There was a memory from 7 years ago or 6 years ago today, from Desi. Shout out to Desi and Javi.
Shout out to the Moraleses.
We had our last family dinner in Tampa. And so it was the post from the pictures from our last family dinner. And in that are so many of our friends and loved ones from Tampa. And then even in the comments, Mama Trina's on there saying she couldn't make it and stuff like that. But we have family dinners here now in Charlotte. Yeah. And we probably will continue to have family dinners as long as we can keep cooking. Yeah. So much has happened around that table. Yeah. And that's why I'm shouting out Daniel, because he was just doing us a favor as his friends, but I don't think he realized how many people would be impacted by just coming and sitting around that table with us, and how many couples have come and sat down. And we did a premarital session with a couple literally earlier today. Mm-hmm. We start with another couple, and I think this week coming up with another couple. Our creative director sitting behind the table right now. Him and his wife have come and sat down at that table with us many times. So many wonderful people that we've been able to just contribute our experiences from. Yeah. And part of what I think burdened you with this podcast was like the asks from people kept coming, and it was like, all right, how do we scale this?
Yeah.
We got
Because
kids.
your
we got
girl
a
be
life.
tired. There's only but so many days in
Sure.
a week, hours in
Sure.
a day.
And I think there's something to be said about, like, people wanting their marriages to be stronger.
Yeah.
People wanting their families to be stronger. And I think so much of what we plan to get into when it comes to love and legacy is not just marriage, not just relational, but it's also loving yourself well.
Yeah.
This is a journey we've had to learn in marriage. And I'm thinking about all of the people who are in our lives who are single parents, both moms and dads, that I think this would be helpful for and beneficial for. I don't know. I'm excited that we get to do this, and I'm excited we get to do it together. Are you about to cry?
I was just going to say that I am about to cry. One thing that everybody needs to know about me is that, hey, I am a crier, okay?
I see the tears welling up.
So just expect it. Don't be alarmed by it. Hopefully I won't be the only one crying, like y'all on the other side. Grab your tissues and all that. Because we're going to get into some real things,
Sure.
the things that we're going to be discussing.
Sure.
They're not just hot topics. They're real life.
Yeah.
They're things that happened either to us or, situations that we learned from. And
For sure. Let's talk about not our love story. We'll get into that, I think, in the next episode. Just you as a person. Because I think a lot of times what I would hate to have happen is that people not hear two individuals who are becoming one.
That's great, babe. Yeah.
We are becoming, especially as Christians, we're believers. And you don't have to be a Christian to watch this podcast to be part of this community. But as Christians, we believe that in the covenant of marriage, we're two people becoming one.
Yeah.
But we start off as two people, and we literally shared earlier today with the couple who was here for premarital that we're still two people sometimes. still trying to become one. So I think I would love to hear from you just who is. I can go first, or you can go first. Let me ask the question first, and then you decide.
Okay.
I think it would be really cool for us to just kind of describe each other. Okay. Not so much let me talk about me and who I am, but if we're two people becoming one, describe the other person across from you. Do you want to go first, or you want me to go first?
Either way, I'm going to be crying, so you can go first.
Okay. My wife's my favorite human being on earth. She really is. And I normally show her love by picking on her and roasting her and stuff like that. Every good husband does. No, she really is one of the most brilliant people I've ever met in my entire life. And I have 10 sisters. For those of you who might be new to our group, our family or whatever, I have 10 sisters. And so one of my biggest fears growing up was that I would marry somebody who was not smart enough to be in our family, because all of my sisters, I know it might sound so petty and so shallow, but like that was a real thing. All of my sisters are so smart. Brilliant. And I've just been surrounded by brilliant women my entire life. And so that's why oftentimes when I start talking about you, I start talking about how I talk about your mind first. You really are one of the most brilliant people I've ever met in my entire life. I'm fascinated by your process because it is very opposite of mine. It is very methodical, and it is very verbal, and mine is very internal, fast. And I love being able to grow with you and get to know you more. You are also one of the most empathetic people that I've ever been around, which is why I don't let her control our money, because she would. She's one of the most giving people ever. So she's going to give. And I have watched her, especially early on in our dating, when we first started dating, was just watching you give to your family and give to your friends and neglect yourself in your giving. Your giving is boundless. And now that your money is also my money, our money is not boundless. So I have to put up some really serious boundaries around your boundless giving. But you really are one of the most giving people that I've ever met. And then all of those things are really, really cool. And all of those things are really, really wonderful and true. But the first time I saw her, I was not like, wow, what a giving, smart girl. That's just the truth. I walked into that auditorium, that concert hall on the college campus, Towns Auditorium. And I was with Pat. Shout out to Pat. All our friends again, shout outs. Shout out to Pat. Me and Pat were walking through the doors, and we're just talking about whatever guys talk about, basketball and food, girls and all that. And Pat was like, there's this new girl on the choir. I don't think you know her yet. And we're walking through the doors. She says, matter of fact, there she goes right there. And I looked up and saw you, and I was like, oh my God. I said it then, and I mean it now. I said two things to Pat then. I said, that's the most beautiful person I've ever seen in my life. And the second thing I told Pat was like, I'm going to marry her. Now, the one small caveat, we'll talk about that in the next episode. That's not for right now. That's not for right now. And I still true those words. But my wife's beauty, I talked about a lot of the inside beauty, but let me talk about the outside beauty. God, Lee almost cussed. That girl is fine. That girl is a tall glass of water, and I'll be thirsty. You feel me? Yeah. I seen her. I was like, yeah. Let me go see what Shorty up to over here real quick. And that's one of I some guys I think aren't like that. Some guys I
would probably say most guys.
Most guys are very much like, don't look at my woman, and I be on some like, do y'all? And I've been in a lot of professional situations, and people are like, you might not get this opportunity, and you might not get that, and blah, blah, blah. And I say the same thing every single time. That when I was at my brokest, at my lowest, at my most immature, and my most worthless point in my life, I pulled this off.
What am I supposed to say after this, guy?
If I could do that in my worst possible condition, I'm going to be okay in life. And I don't be saying that to earn brownie points. I really do mean that. I'm still very much in love with my wife. After 10 years, my love and affection is still set on her and no one else. And I'm happy to be married to you.
I should have gone first. I don't know why I set myself up like that, but
I asked you. I gave you that.
I know you really did, and here I am. I love you.
Te amo, mama. Hey, I ain't know I'm bilingual. Golly, dang, hit me up for your Spanish lesson.
Man, my husband. Who are you?
Talk about him.
Well,
man,
first
talk
of
about
all,
how God blessed you. You know what I'm saying?
My husband is the most driven.
Oof.
I don't think I've ever met a person that has as much vision. Oh, here I go. I'm not even gonna be able to get through it as you do.
Cry, girl.
I mean, outside of being extremely talented, he is one of those annoying people that you meet that are just naturally good and gifted at everything. I don't think that there's ever been anything that he either can't
talk
do
about my talents
or hasn't been able to figure out.
Yeah, what I be doing, girl?
He plays 13 instruments.
I be playing music. Be cooking.
Listen, fellas,
Bacon.
if you don't know how to cook, I'm gonna just help you out real quick.
I've always had the cooking in me a little bit.
Yeah, since we were dating.
Uncle Leon is the one that got me with the baking.
Shout out to the Jacksons.
There's no way you'll watch 10 episodes of this and won't hear us talk about the Jacksons. Shout out to the Jacksons. Uncle Leon is an amazing.
That yellow cake.
Oh my goodness, he bakes very well. Go ahead.
Okay,
I don't mean to keep interrupting you. Keep talking good about me.
He's a fantastic chef.
Mm-hmm.
He been chefing it up from the jump. But really, what separated you, I would say, from the very, very beginning was
Listen, fellas. Listen to my single fellas. Listen. Go ahead, say it, girl.
His strategic pursuit of me. But it didn't end when he got me.
Ooh.
Like, to this day, he be taking care of me.
Trying to see what's up.
And he
was
actually, I've had a lot of people in my life supporting me. I'm not saying that, but from the very, very beginning as a friend, or at least that's what he said he was. As a friend, like, he would just show up and support.
I'm not laughing at the support. The support was genuine.
Yeah.
The part that wasn't, that wasn't very genuine was the friendship.
But that is what really intrigued me, was the fact that I was like, wow, as my friend, like, he supported everything that I was doing at the time.
Mm-hmm.
However he could.
Mm-hmm.
I was in college at the time.
We were not in college.
I know, I corrected that. I was in college.
You were in college. I was living in the city the college was in.
And he saw me. I don't know. He saw me beyond what most people saw me for.
Mm-hmm.
And
talk about the attractiveness too.
Obviously the attractiveness. I mean, look at him. Look at them dimples.
You see the dimples?
But anybody can be attractive.
I'm gonna talk like this the rest of the time so
Are
you
you
can see my
freaking
dimples.
kidding me? But his ambition and his drive, he made me feel safe.
Yeah.
And even though when we met, we were both very much broke. I knew that I could trust his word because his words were never empty. And whatever he said he was gonna do, he did and has done and continues to do to this day. He is integral. He is, what you see is what you get. He's not one person on camera and then a completely different person. And I think
True that.
everybody
That sounds
who
exhausting.
knows you will can is it attest to that? Is that
Yeah,
the
go
right
ahead. I
word?
wasn't gonna. Yeah, attest is the word.
Attest. Okay, good. There we go. He will attest. Anyone who knows him can attest to that. And just he is authentically him, regardless of the situation.
Yeah.
And I admire that he is who he is, and he is unshakable and immovable in that. His convictions, he carries his convictions very, very,
Keep
very.
talking good about me. God. Yeah.
And
Ladies, my brother's still single. I'm saying it's one other of
but
us.
he I purposely decided to speak about this part at the end. The way that he can interpret scripture
Oof.
and practically present biblical concepts is it's always been there.
Oof.
But the way that he carefully chooses his words in delivering that is, I think, what I admire the most.
Wow.
He really I don't know if y'all know this or not, he's a preacher. And I see all the hard work behind, what people might see or know of you and think, see just the highlight reels. I know before you ever set foot on a stage that you have lived out whatever you are about to preach, whatever you speak. And I see how you carry that, and you don't carry it lightly, and you carry it humbly. And so that is who my husband is.
Wow. Y'all got her crying.
I know.
Yeah. I think for a lot of people, man, especially our married folks out there, your ability to continue talking well about your spouse will keep the spice in your marriage. I think it'll keep the lights on in your marriage. And I think it'll help keep you grounded and reminded, because it's impossible to love somebody as much as my wife loves me and I not get on her nerves. You know what I'm saying? Maybe we'll do that in another episode. But I think your ability to continue talking about it is so helpful. And I think it's helpful for people to hear, like, these are two individual people, trying their best to become one little by little every day. And I think, I don't know, my heart goes out to a lot of the people who are single, not because singleness is a condition, but I don't want people to think my legacy doesn't start until I have somebody else.
Yeah.
My love doesn't come into my life until I have somebody else. I think your ability to be able to speak well of yourself and to know yourself well is a major factor. And there's some people I think are single and they're content being single, and you've had enough relationships that didn't go right that you're like, you know what, I'm good. I'm good on these jokers out here. But your ability to speak well of yourself, I think, is really, really key. And I think that's the there's the Love and Legacy podcast. We got to talk about the love part.
Yeah.
And I think, first of all, thank you. I didn't say thank you. I don't think you said thank you to me when I finished describing you. But it's fine. No, it's good. You did say I love you. And you know what? I love you too.
And so thank you.
Yeah. Listen, we hope that you hang out with us for every episode of this. We hope that you get something out of every episode of this. We hope that as we talk through our experiences, as we talk through what we've walked through, that it'll be helpful for you. I think what I would love is that people would come with whatever tools they already have.
Yeah.
And that being part of the Love and Legacy community, that they'll be able to say, yeah, my toolbox got a little bit fuller.
Yeah. And share your experiences as well.
For sure.
Some of the things that you're grappling with and trying to, identity is something that you don't just struggle with finding in your 20s when you're
Sure.
trying to figure out the
Sure.
career. You know, that's something that you will, I
Every
think,
phase of life.
every phase
Yeah.
of life, you will continue to redefine what your, I mean, obviously our identity is in Christ, but, you know,
Sure.
speaking from my perspective as a wife and a mom, you know, and a career woman myself as well, like,
You got to find it in each season.
you have to
in
find it in each
space. Yeah.
season, and understanding that you bring all of yourself to each
Into that
season.
space, yeah.
I am a good businesswoman because I am a good mother, because I manage my home, because
Yeah.
I'm a good wife. And
It's
so it took me up until a couple years to
Yeah.
learn that and realize that.
Yep.
And so, yeah, I'm excited
good.
to start this and see what other conversations come out of this, and to hear your stories as well, and
That's right.
hopefully be able to build up each other's toolboxes and continue to learn and grow. So
Right now, we have to decide how we're going to end every episode.
gosh, how are we gonna end it?
You know,
Yeah,
we need to know. This is your podcast. Like, you got to decide what you want it to be,
oh my gosh, I don't know.
guys.
Oh, I am got nothing.
Man, wow. Well, that's episode 1.
Well, love and legacy, guys.
Hopefully, we have a better sign off in episode
Oh
2.
God.
Thanks for hanging with us. We'll see you for episode 2. Watch it right now.